So we've done Skaven Lords, we've done High Elf Lords, we've done Empire Lords, Dwarf Lords, pretty much every Lord in the roster of Lords or races of Warhammer, except for one race, really. And it's because I don't really enjoy playing Orcs and Goblins, guys. Just outright saying it, I've never really enjoyed Greenskins. Maybe it's because I always like the kind of regimental, beautiful, over-the-top, regal, standard infantry unit of, say, like the High Elves, or even just the Dark Elves have a really cool infantry line. I've just never enjoyed the green tie that is the Greenskins. They have really cool lore, and they have really cool kind of gods and heroes and stuff like that. But I feel like in an effort to give you the most unbiased opinion of some of these lords and give you the most accurate lore, I have to start getting into some of those Greenskins. So today I want to talk about someone that we mentioned in our two previous Empire Lords, Kurt and Schwarzhelm, was Gorbad Ironclaw. Now, we talk a lot about Grimgor and how Grimgor is the best in all this action, but Gorbad is actually probably the best. He's one of the most famous actual orc lords, and he's known for a number of things that are not just simply, oh, he did the most jumping. He did a lot of tactics that are very uncommon to orcs as a whole. So let's read a little lore blurb here about Gorbad and go into that, as well as some of his magic items and special rules. And we'll kind of talk about his difference compared to, the mighty Grimgor. So as I clear my throat, Gorbad Ironclaw is one of the most infamous of all orc war bosses. In his day, Gorbad led a massive invasion that almost crushed the Empire. His armies succeeded in slaying Emperor Sigismund and wiping the imperial province of Solent off the map. Not too shabby, as orcs like to say. Gorbad was a hulking orc who rose to fame as a leader of the Ironclaw tribe. It was he who first built the Iron Rock, the most redoubtable orc fastness in the old world. Yet conquering greenskin tribes was no real challenge for Gorbad, and so he inevitably crossed into the human land of the Empire. It was his horrific deeds there that raised Gorbad's status, making him a bloody inspiration to his kind and a byword for invasion done proper. It is said that Gorbad could single-handedly destroy enemy regiments and headbutt a war boar into a tongue-lolling, comatose state. However, it wasn't his remarkable strength that allowed Gorbad to wreak such havoc. Gorbad was a supreme warboss, able to drive his troops, whether orcs or goblin, to their utmost. Tribes from all corners traveled to join this legendary leader. Most of the truly hulking orc warbosses disdain the weaker types that rush to join a successful Waaagh, generally considering goblinoids too puny to aid the cause. Gorbad did attract many hard units, especially orc biguns, yet he had an eye for when he could use lesser types too. He was a master at ordering goblin screens and wolfrider flank attacks. Despite his brawn and predilection for close combat, Gorbad wasn't above winning a battle through massed archery or warm batteries. He used the troops he had and drove them to do their best. It was his flexibility that garnered the mighty warboss a bloody and unbroken string of triumph after triumph. Of course, it helped that if the battle wasn't going his way, Gorbad could rear up on Narla, his immensely large war boar, and bellow his "Waaagh" so that it echoed across the battlefield like thunder. Every greenskin who heard this war cry surged forth with renewed and rampant violence, a call to once again rise to greatness and to bloody victory. So you can see Gorbad he's very, very pivotal. He's very important in the grand scheme of the kind of, I guess you could say, greenskin lore. And he kind of, I at least I think in Total War Warhammer, and as far as like people talking about the lore of greenskins, he's kind of overlooked. Most people kind of think of Grimgor, and I understand that Grimgor is a pretty pivotal character. He's pretty amazing, but I think that Gorbad is just as important, if not more important, because of his kind of ability to kill an emperor, which was by no stretch of any imagination an easy thing, and he started off with a mighty Wa. We talked about Grom's Wa that kind of ripped through the Empire, through the eastern ends of it, through the northern portions of it, and then out over into Ulthuan. But Wa Gorbad actually went from Iron Rock, which we all know on the map around Mad Dog Pass, just south of Karazak Karak, swept north through the Border Princes, through Blackfire Pass. Then it swept into Karak Norn, over to Karak Varn, up to Zufbar, then also pushed all the way into the Empire, into Nuln, into Altdorf, and he killed Emperor Sigismund. That's a pretty huge claim to fame. You know, that's not too shabby as far as orcs go. And on top of it, I think that he himself has a little bit cooler of a lore than Grimgor, because I always really liked Grimgor in the lore too, but I think that Gorbad kind of gets pushed to the wayside in light of Grimbor, and I think that overall he's a better lord, because the Greenskins, orcs and goblins, in the tabletop they're called orcs and goblins. In Total War Warhammer, of course, they're called orcs. They're called Greenskins. They suffer from a lot of leadership issues, right? Well, Grimgor doesn't really help that as much as I'd say Gorbad does. He's really definitely more of like a duelist lord. He gets up in there and kicks some serious ass, knees people in the dick just like he did to Archaon, but that's neither here nor there because it's actually retcon, so fuck it, right? But he does have some pretty cool abilities, so let's talk about those magic abilities, those magic items, those special rules. So first off, his magic item, if you know Warhammer 40,000, you know of Ghazghkull, who is one of the best. Think of him kind of like a Grimgor meets Gorbad in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, and he has a big, giant mechanical claw. Gorbad has something similar to that. It's called Morglor the Mangler. Morglor the Mangler is one of the most feared weapons ever to be wielded by an orc warboss. So this has a lot of special rules that are a little bit more catered to the tabletop. For instance, for those of you that know the rules, it gives you always strike first, multiple wounds, no armor saves allowed. Holy hot covered shit. So I think of that as going to be something that would be pretty beastly to make its interpretation into Total War Warhammer. It would have to have something that have a very fast attack speed, a little high melee attack bonus to him. It would be AP. It would do some sort of thing where it would confer either not some multiple wounds, because that's not necessarily an ability that exists, but either maybe an anti-infantry characteristic, as we see with the bolt thrower and how that has an anti-infantry option with multiple wounds, or well, it doesn't have multiple wounds, but it's anti-infantry in the light of multiple wounds that you would have in tabletop, or an anti-large capability. So that's the way I kind of see that translated with multiple wounds, is an anti-infantry. One thing that I want to kind of quickly point out is always strike first. It doesn't make a good translation to Total War Warhammer. In the tabletop game, always strike first meant exactly what the rule says. You strike first. If someone else has that same rule, you guys go off of your initiative stat on your character stat line. This is kind of a bit of a rabbit hole, but one of the things that makes the elves so strong and so good in tabletop is that they always strike first. Two-handed weapons mean you strike last, not if you're an elf. So I want to see them really take on always strike first, or ASF as it's called, in a proper light. I feel like it's not really truly represented in Total War Warhammer, and it needs a little. It needs something, because you look at the high elves, they're so below the power curve. If you look at Gorbad himself, one of the biggest boons of Morglor is that he would strike first with his otherwise low initiative. So I want to see Total War Warhammer really challenge that rule, and I want to throw that out to you guys, and you guys can let me know what you think about that as well in the comments, because you guys always have some pretty cool ideas on shit. But his special rules are definitely going to be very campaign-centric and very campaign-heavy, because he rides Nala the War Boar, as we've kind of talked about, which is, we have Azag. He kind of rides his... Oh, I'm sorry, not Azag. Wurzog rides a boar in the... what's it called? In Total War Warhammer, and I'd love to see them put maybe Gorbad on a wyvern. Who knows? Maybe. Yes, I'd love to do it. I want to see it, because Azag's like one of the only lords that's actually on a lord, or on a wyvern, aside from obviously that's just a generic one. Skullmuncha is his name, but I'd love to put Gorbad on there just because I think it would be a fun mechanic. So let's talk again about those special rules here. So he's got the Great Leader. So essentially what it means is he has a larger leadership aura and he infers actually more benefits, or I'm sorry, more benefits to the actual individual units. And it's for the animosity table, or I'm sorry, the animosity tests. So maybe what this could do is the Great Leader could be maybe a quick little AoE heal in the same way as like maybe your regrowth or something like that, and a shot to the essentially the rule says Gorbad can whip any rabble into an effective fighting force. So maybe it's either like a bonus to melee attack, making them a little bit more elite, or maybe it's a little quick shot of healing because it's supposed to assist their heal, their animosity test, or maybe it's something of the sort where it's just simply a straight up leadership bonus. But that brings us to the boss as a plan. Gorbad acts as both the general and battle standard of your army. We've talked about this with Schwarzhelm and battle standard bearers, how I think they need to make a big presence in Total War Warhammer. So essentially what this would mean is that his inspiring presence, that big aura we see in Total War Warhammer, and hold your ground abilities both have an increased range. So maybe this would not play as well with the Great Leader, but I could see this as one of those abilities that you activate in the upper right corner of the skill tree, like, oh, okay, this would make your inspiring presence and your hold your ground a little bit better, increase the aura on both of them. So that basically this guy could be a leadership battery plugged into the center of your orc line as he kind of just smashes through shit. And I think one of my favorite abilities, and this is going to be definitely, obviously, a very big thing for campaign, is orcs are the best. And that's probably one of the most famous lines from any kind of greenskin anything. Gorbad was the most inspirational orc leader of all time and drew his biggest and best orc fighters from across the land to fight under his banner. And basically what this meant is that in tabletop, if you include him, then he can upgrade any number of units of orc boys and or orc big boys to big guns. So the way I would look at this in Total War Warhammer terms is maybe it's an overall reduction in recruitment cost, upkeep, and what's that other thing I can't think of? Recruitment cost, upkeep, and increase their rank, increase their, like, maybe a +2 chevron to them and +2 experience to them. As maybe one of three, or maybe it's you choose orc are the best and you get all three of those abilities, or you have to choose it as part of a chain. You know how you have like War Leader or Tyrant with Malekith? Maybe you can have something like this where you choose the orcs are the best, and then you get 3 subsequent abilities in there, one with the upkeep, one with the recruitment cost reduction, and another one with experience. I think that'd be a really cool mechanic in there. So hopefully you guys really enjoyed our very first Greenskin Lord here with Gorbad Ironclaw. I know we haven't done any of them, and a lot of you guys have really been asking a lot about it, so I figured, hey, you know what? It is time to give the people what they want. Gorbad Ironclaw himself. And we'll go into some more of the Greenskin Lords. We've already talked about Grom the Paunch, but I'm kind of separating him from my list of like Greenskin Lords. But we can talk about Skarsnik, the actual tabletop lore from him if you like, but we'll go into Snagla Grobspit or Gatilla the Hunter, stuff like that. We've got plenty of lords to go into in the Greenskin roster. But if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on how you think he would be implemented into Total War Warhammer. This kind of plays into the whole theme of my thoughts that some future DLC for Total War Warhammer 2 will be an updated stuff from Total War Warhammer 1, but I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. Let me know also if you want to see more about these Greenskin Lords. Go ahead and like and comment and subscribe below. Thanks for watching here today, guys. Have a good one and take care.